You're tuned in to the Daily BS.
Do you believe it?
Sports and culture combined into one.
Michael on the drive across the lane. Turnaround shot. Got it. 63 for Jordan. Are you kidding me? He did what?
The Daily BS begins.
Bazinga.
Right now.
Great googly moogly.
Hadouken!
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Can't wait.
Hey, welcome to the Daily BS for this Monday. Sorry I missed y'all on Friday. I was a little out of sorts, had some running around to do, but I am back on this Monday to wrap up the Super Bowl. A couple of great conversations that I had with one Cole Johnson and one Renee Washington. And I go off the board and bring in a conversation that I had with a good friend of mine by the name of Charles Faulkner. Why am I bringing this up? I had a conversation with a friend of mine over the course of the weekend, and we just started talking about men's place in society. So I decided to bring this conversation up. I want y'all to take a listen and let me know what you think. Now, remember, I said 4 years ago. This is from 2000, the conversation with Charles Faulkner, which you will hear in its entirety. I had him on Snowman in the Morning. It's from 2016. All right? Keep that in mind as we get started with the Monday edition of the Daily BS. Thanks to my friends at the Inscriber Digital Magazine, as well as the Unico Exclusive for distributing the show, and also thanks to the folks and the affiliates. Thanks to the good folks at RTF Sports Network and the radio affiliates within. Also thanks to Arena Sportsnet, as well as Western Reserve Digital Network and KSRN Arizona for airing this program as well. Lots to get into with the Super Bowl. Final thoughts on Kobe Bryant. You'll hear a couple of things from Friday, especially where I went in on a horrible Kobe joke that wasn't a joke. You don't joke about someone's death. Hail to the Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are the Super Bowl champions, and they played a dynamite fourth quarter. 21 points in 6 minutes. My fear was it would be the second quarter. Oh, no. The money. When I do my broadcasts, I always say the fourth quarter is the money period. And the money period belonged to the Kansas City Chiefs. 21-0. They stopped the 49ers, and they won 31-20. The curse of Andy Reid has been lifted, and for the first time since Super Bowl IV, the Kansas City Chiefs are the world champions, and kudos to them. Yes, I pulled hard for my 49ers, and I have to be honest, I am not disappointed in the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl because I love Patrick Mahomes. Excuse me. I love how the Chiefs came together. I absolutely love how this team is built, and this team is built for a while. The Chiefs made the plays they needed to, period. Tyreek Hill getting open for a 4-yard gain. Sammy Watkins catching not one, not two, but 3 20-plus yard passes. And do I have to mention Patrick Mahomes again and the plays that he made running the football as well as throwing the football? And that Kansas City Chiefs defense, Frank Clark and all. Frank Clark was the addition that the Chiefs needed to make for them to get over the hump, and they did. Kansas City, here come the Chiefs, back to Kansas City with the Vince Lombardi trophy in hand. I was watching the game last night, and I'll say it again, I was pulling hard for the San Francisco 49ers because this is the first time the Niners have been in the Super Bowl since 2012, and they hadn't won since they beat San Diego in Miami for their 5th Super Bowl win, and they still have 5, but I still wanted them to get 6. But at the same time, you have to applaud the Kansas City Chiefs for rallying. 3 playoff games, they trailed by 10 or more points in each game, and they rallied to win all 3 by double digits. They beat Houston by 20, they beat Tennessee by 11, and they beat San Francisco by 11. Damian Williams with the clinching touchdown with a little over a minute left, and then the defense put it away with an interception, and the Chiefs win it. 31-20 is the final. But I'm going to concentrate, for this segment, I'm going to concentrate on one Patrick Mahomes. And I got to tell you something. I had a lot of doubts in my mind about Patrick Mahomes. I had a lot of doubts in my mind. It's just, what can I say? The kid wowed me. He wowed me last year, okay? Let me be honest. He wowed me last year. But there was something that Mike Debate said that came to fruition in that fourth quarter. Mahomes last year scrambled whenever he got a chance instead of reading the play. This year he read the play and made the appropriate decision. And that appropriate decision, the biggest decision of the game, the biggest play of the game, when the Chiefs were down 20-10, clock was ticking against them, and Mahomes, on a scramble play, unleashed a beautiful, beautiful pass for a 44-yard completion. And that set the Chiefs up. 3 plays later, they're in the end zone. It's 20-17, and San Francisco did not have an answer to that. They just simply did not have an answer. And Andy Reid has had the curse lifted once and for all. He is a Super Bowl champion. He came up short in Super Bowl 39 with Philadelphia. 15 seasons later, he finally gets the job done. So kudos to Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. Kudos to Patrick Mahomes, the youngest, most Super Bowl most valuable player at 24 years and 138 days. And he made every key play in the ball game. He ran for a touchdown. He threw for a touchdown. He threw for 2 touchdowns. I beg your pardon. He threw for 2 touchdowns, 286 yards. And it wasn't really a good game for Patrick Mahomes. It really wasn't. It was not a good game for Patrick Mahomes. But it turned out to be his best game because he made the plays that he needed to make. And boy, did he make them. So kudos to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They are the Super Bowl champions, and the Chiefs Kingdom has a lot to celebrate on this Monday morning. Snowman in the Morning, follow along with SNWDIGITALMEDIA. Let me shift to the San Francisco side. Kudos to the 49ers as well for having an outstanding season. And yes, I do have some criticisms of Kyle Shanahan's play calling. He didn't run the ball with the lead after a 5-yard gain from Raheem Mostert. In fact, he didn't run the ball the rest of the game. He didn't use his timeouts in the first half when he got the ball back after a stop in a 10-10 tie. But you know something? There's always going to be criticism with Kyle Shanahan. And as I scrolled through some comments that I made last night after paying homage to the Kansas City Chiefs for winning the title, everybody wants to flip to Kyle Shanahan, and everybody wants to say Atlanta all over again. I say bollocks to that. Shanahan made his mistakes. Certainly, you can't get you can't get around that. You won't get around that. But do you know how young this San Francisco 49er team is? Do you know how much talent is on this ball club? And yeah, a lot of people are going to counter, well, if they were that talented, they should have won the thing. Well, Kansas City made more plays. Kansas City made more plays. And you know something that the Chiefs did? They forced Jimmy Garoppolo to beat them, and he damn near beat them. All right, each quarterback threw 2 interceptions in the ball game. The only criticism that I have is that the 49ers went away from the run game just when it was starting to click. Just when it was starting to click. But you know something? I understand some of the play calls. The play action was working. The how did Troy Aikman put it? The off-schedule plays. The off-schedule plays of the play action was working. It worked damn near the entire game. But Kansas City got pressure on Garoppolo and forced him into that first interception that turned into 3 points, and then the one that sealed the ball game. You know something? This was a dynamite Super Bowl. This was one hell of a Super Bowl. It was much better than it was last year, even though it was a defensive showcase. It was an offensive showcase as well as a defensive showcase. The Kansas City Chiefs were the team to shut the running game down of the 49ers. They did it to Derrick Henry. And I really thought that 3 running backs would be better than 1. And Matt Breida, here's another criticism that I have. Matt Breida didn't even touch the ball in the game. He was on special teams. And I say he was downgraded to special teams. In many ways, I understand why. Breida's had trouble holding on to the football. I get that. I understand that. But be that as it may, the 49ers made the mistakes and the Chiefs capitalized. The Chiefs made a couple of mistakes and the 49ers capitalized. And all you can do if you're Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers is learn from this experience and take it into next year. And I got a lot more to say about the 49ers. I'll do that next segment. But homage to both teams for putting on what was a fantastic Super Bowl game. You thought the curse of Reed was going to live. It didn't. You thought the curse of Kyle Shanahan was going to live. And in many ways it did. Let's be honest. And I'll say it again. It does give you a reminder of how the Falcons blew a 28-3 lead. But Kyle Shanahan isn't the only one at fault here. There were some plays that the 49ers needed to make, and they didn't make them. Period. Okay? You get 5 yards on first down, and you're unable to connect on a couple of passes, on a couple of play-action passes, up by 3. You know? And I will say, let me be honest, you run the football a couple of more times, you run out the clock. But at the same time, you can't just spread fault with what happened to the 49ers in the fourth quarter. Kansas City is just one hell of a team. They proved it last year, getting to the AFC Championship when no one expected them to. They proved it this year, going all the way and winning the Super Bowl. And the 49ers are a hell of a team. As I mentioned, I'll mention more about the 49ers in my next segment because I got a lot of kudos to dole out. The Kansas City Chiefs just made more plays, and I'm not disappointed about it at all. I'm not disappointed about it at all. When I talked with Mike Debate on Locked On Patriots, hell, my AFC pick, I wanted to ride hard, was the Indianapolis Colts. I didn't even give 2 thoughts about Kansas City. But in the back of my mind, I did, especially with a dynamic quarterback named Patrick Mahomes, who ushered in the newest era of quarterback, and who ushered in the newest era of a black quarterback winning the Super Bowl MVP. Let me say that again. A black quarterback during Black History Month won the Super Bowl MVP. He became the second to do it. You know who the first one was? Doug Williams of the Washington Redskins. And the Redskins weren't even supposed to compete with the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 22. Williams threw for 340 yards that game. 300 of those came in the second quarter, when the Redskins, I beg your pardon, put 328 yards up in the second quarter alone, on the way to 603 total yards in Super Bowl 22. The Kansas City Chiefs made better plays. They made more plays. And that's why they are the Super Bowl champions, period. Take a pause for a break, and when we come back, the San Francisco 49ers, they came up short in the Super Bowl, but they have nothing, absolutely nothing, to hang their heads about. Snowman in the morning, back in a flash. Back to the program. Later on in the program, you'll hear a delightful interview that I had a chance to do with one Renee Washington, and some folks will stop by, offer their thoughts on the NBA. Chris Pirtle will do that for me, And somebody made a joke about Kobe Bryant, and I went in on Friday. You'll hear that segment in its entirety. You'll have to forgive me. I don't have much of a voice. I don't have much of a voice left after yelling yesterday. But you know something? Yeah, Kyle Shanahan made a lot of mistakes. Okay, he made some mistakes in the Super Bowl. But you can't turn your back on this young 49er ball club. They weren't even supposed to be in the Super Bowl. Hell, they weren't even supposed to be in the playoffs. Do you know many pundits gave the 49ers only 8 wins? I saw a program on NFL Network where they predicted the 49ers record. You know, they said 3-13. They called the 49ers to have only 3 wins this year. As I mentioned, the most wins that I heard someone give the 49ers was 8. This guy right here, in front of this microphone, I knew the 49ers would have a wonderful season. I knew it. I was on Dorfon Sports before the season started, and I made the statement, if there's a team that can unseat the Rams in the West, it would be the 49ers, and they did. Take a look at the season and rewind for the San Francisco 49ers. They go to Tampa Bay. They didn't have a good game, but you know what? The defense stepped up, including a pick 6 from Richard Sherman. And the secondary is where I believe the secondary is where the 49ers are going to address some concerns in the NFL draft. I beg your pardon. They go to Tampa Bay, they win. They go to Cincinnati, they win. You kind of expect that. The game that, for me, sent the 49ers on their way was Week 3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why? How the hell do you turn the ball over 5 times and win? Garoppolo found Dante Pettis in the end zone to win the game, 24-20. They get a week off, and then the Monday night game against Cleveland, which put the 49ers on notice. And as a popular YouTuber described, they took the Browns and downgraded them to Factory of Sadness status. They won their first 8 games, so they matched the maximum number of wins that 90% of the pundits gave them. Hardly anyone expected the 49ers to start off 8-0. And they can beat you in so many ways. This is a 49er team that can beat you in so many ways. They can beat you defensively. They can beat you offensively. They can beat you running the football. They wanted to challenge and say, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo, can you win some games for us? He did. He absolutely did. Then came the game against Seattle that came down to the gun. And Seattle won that game and handed the 49ers their first loss of the season. Oh, man. I was up most of the night for that game. Just like I was up most of the night last night. I didn't go to bed until late. More on that later. Anyway, when you think about the season the 49ers had, they lose to Seattle, they win a couple of more, they go to they get to 11-1, they go to Baltimore, lose there, and another turning point for the 49ers was going to New Orleans, facing Drew Brees. And I'm going to invoke a little bit of Jim Rome here in this conversation. If you go to New Orleans and you see Drew Brees on the other side of the ledger, most teams think, we're going to get outscored. We're not going to risk ourselves. Jim Rome said it best. The 49ers basically had the wild card in their back pocket. You're going into the Superdome and playing the top team in the NFC after going to Baltimore and playing the top team in the AFC at the time. Hell with that. I'm saving the body. We got the wild card in the back pocket. We fulfilled our obligations. Let's just take it easy and then go home. Wrong answer. George Kittle made the play of the year when Garoppolo hit him on a 4th and 2, and then Kittle did the rest. Turned it into a 39-yard gain. 39-yard gain with 3 Saints hanging on him on a 4th and 2. You understand that? A 4th and 2. And I'll tell you something. Were it not for 3 goofy calls by Kyle Shanahan, you got to put the blame where it's due, and the 49ers not executing on offense, they would have been undefeated going into the Super Bowl. The loss to Seattle, the 4th down gamble in Baltimore, and the kooky play against Atlanta. They played down to their competition. Let's be honest. Let's keep it 100% real. They played down to Atlanta, and Atlanta was having a horrible season. This is where the 49ers grow up. You go into the offseason and you think, hey, we weren't even supposed to get to the Super Bowl, let alone be 6 minutes away from winning the damn thing. This is where you take every lesson that you learned from this season and you take it in the next season, and then you roll over everybody. The 49ers are a young team, a very, very, very young team. That defensive front is dynamite. That defensive front and those linebackers are nothing to mess with. The secondary is going to need an upgrade, period. Sammy Watkins split us several times for big gains. Tyreek Hill split the defense for a 44-yard gain last night. The coverage was soft, and it can't be against a speed team like Kansas City. But I know the 49ers will address that. John Lynch will address that. Every need that the 49ers have will be addressed in this offseason. But you got to give credit where credit is due, man. You absolutely have to. How the hell are you going to sit there and blame Kyle Shanahan? Did Shanahan make his mistakes? Certainly. But I said since they started 8-0 that the 49ers are playing with house money. And they gathered all the house money they could until they got to Miami. The house money ran out. The big house money ran out. But they still got a little bit left to play with going into next year. And all you can do is build on this. I expect the 49ers next year to be in Tampa competing, making a 3rd attempt at getting their 6th Super Bowl ring. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's against either the Patriots, the Chiefs, or the Indianapolis Colts. You heard it here first. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. The hell with it. I expect the San Francisco 49ers to be in Tampa next year competing for the Super Bowl. And you know something? I expect this program, as well as the others I run, to be there for said Super Bowl. That's my goal. And I got no shame in what the 49ers did this year. Their dominance in the playoffs until they play Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Not one but 2 200-yard rushing games. They nearly got 200 last night. But the only problem is they went away from it at a time they should not have. But when you're hot, you're hot. You ride the hot hand, and Jimmy Garoppolo had a hot hand. So you ride it. Who told the 49ers to be 13-3? Who told the 49ers to run over Minnesota in the playoffs? Who told Dre Greenlaw to make the hit of the year against Jacob Hollister in Seattle? Another fantastic game, by the way. And stop him inches short of a touchdown. Oh, by the way, Jacob Hollister fumbled the ball, but no one wants to concede that. Who told Raheem Mostert to run for 220 and 4 touchdowns against the Packers? Who told Kyle Juszczyk to catch 2 touchdowns last night? Yeah, how do you like that? Or catch a touchdown last night, I beg your pardon. Yeah, how do you like that? if the 49ers are smart, and you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the times the 49ers struggled to beat the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s. They lost to them at Candlestick Park in the 92 NFC Championship game when I said the Cowboys needed to play a perfect game, and damn it if they didn't. And then they go to Dallas, and they lost in Dallas. It took Seifert 3 times to get it right and come up with a plan to beat the Cowboys. I think next year the 49ers are going to get the deed done and figure out how to get that 6th Super Bowl title. In fact, I expect it. And I won't be disappointed if they come up short. It's just going to let me know how far this team can go. Great season, 49ers. Great season. Welcome back to the program, folks. I hope you're enjoying the ride as we're enjoying bringing it to you. Now, my next guest that I have for you guys is very celebrated, to say the least. To go through everything that she has accomplished would take a little while, so I'm just going to go through the highlights. They start here. A former All-American soccer player at LaSalle University, so she's a LaSalle Explorer. She is currently the host of Beyond the Headlines, and I absolutely love that series. She is an analyst and a reporter for ESPN Plus, covering men's and women's sports in the Ivy League, and she also covers the Washington Mystics and the Washington Wizards. So to say this young lady is busy would be a horrible understatement. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Miss Renee Washington. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for that tremendous introduction. Wow, I appreciate that. I am great.
Not a problem. So, a LaSalle Explorer, are you?
Yes, I am. And I'm fortunate. Go ahead.
What was it like playing soccer at LaSalle?
Well, I mean, it was everything that I needed at that time. You know, it was 4 years of learning how to be a part of a team that was changing the dynamic of the program, making history. We won the A-10 tournament. We won the A-10 out of my 4 years, a few years, we made the NCAA tournament for the first time and then went back 2 more times. I mean, it was everything I really needed to help me prepare for what was next. And I looked at that moment at my soccer career, and thought that was the direction I was moving in. You know, I was part of a great team. I had team success, individual success. I was part of a small school, which I actually enjoyed and preferred at the time because I knew my teachers. I knew a lot of my classmates and the students. And as I walked around campus, I knew a lot of people. And so I loved it. You know, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of ups and downs. I wouldn't say every day was perfect, but looking back on it, it prepared me perfectly for where I am today and helped me really grow as more than just a soccer player and more than just an athlete, to be the person that I really am today. And that hustle you talk about started, well, before LaSalle, but I fine-tuned it at LaSalle, as I was actually also a 2-sport athlete. I ran track. I had a number of internships. I had a double minor. I really was hustling and developing independence within those 4 years, along with the success and names that I had on the soccer field. So it was everything.
And now you have ESPN Plus under your belt, the Washington Mystics, the Washington Wizards, covering them for Fox Sports. You're also a co-host with DJ Bugsy with a show called I Do It for Hip Hop. Tell me about that show.
Yeah, so that was me looking to expand. And I know that a lot of people are kind of like, why? You already do so many things, because I expanded with that role, and also actually became an in-arena host with LaSalle around the same time. So I added 2 more things to my already busy schedule. But it was this opportunity for me to be able to get into conversations I don't normally have on air. You know, I do a lot of sports talk. I know with my show, I look to talk about sports, music, news, you know, with the different segments, but I'm able to get into deeper conversations about culture, hip hop, music, entertainment. You know, of course, we'll still talk about sports and politics and things like that, but it's a great show because DJ Bunky's an awesome co-host, and we just have real conversations. You know, it's not scripted. It's one live shot. That's it. And we're just sitting down talking about things that we're seeing or what's going on around the world or what's going on in our own lives. And it's a lot of fun because it's real. It's just a real conversation between us, our guests, you know, just talking about things that are applying to our lives every day.
That is wonderful. And now, one of the pièces de résistance for me, Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington. I am an absolute fan of that show. I know you just dropped your Super Bowl special. You got to tell me how this one got started.
This is a show it's my baby. You know, I actually had a show that I did on a local TV station a couple years back that progressed into my previous podcast. So I was hosting a show called The Sports Break. It became The Sports Wrap. And then out of that was born Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington. And for me, I was trying to bring something different. And I wanted to show that, yes, we still talk about the trending topics. So as you mentioned, like this week's episode is a Super Bowl edition. We can't go without talking about the Super Bowl. But also within that, as the title might allude to, we're going beyond the headlines. We're getting deeper. So even within those topics and those trending news, we're getting a farther into what you are just reading in every other outlet. At least I try to. And then also bringing you other stories. So my Positive Vibes Only segment, the artists that are closing out the show each week, just sharing everybody's stories that I possibly can. As many stories as I possibly can. Whether it's an athlete or coach, I had the privilege of having a former NFL player do an interview with me that's going to air in a later episode, talking about not only his career as an NFL player, but life after and what he's been dealing with his health conditions and things. So I'm trying to give people more than just what you read every day or see every day on your latest sports app and, you know, on Twitter and everything, but real stories about people that have either played at the highest level, coached at the highest level, maybe are a reporter, maybe have nothing to do with sports in my Positive Vibes Only segment. I talk to doctors, and I have a former inmate that's going to be coming on my show talking about her path from being a former inmate to now a motivational speaker doing TED Talk. You know, I just try to give something that I hope will inspire, impact, influence someone positively that's listening, along with giving people something they can, you know, agree with, disagree with, find themselves like, what? You know, I'm an Eagles fan, I'm a LeBron fan, so I get into all that too. So I just try to pull at every possible emotion that I possibly can. So it's everything, I guess.
What was it like seeing your Eagles win the Super Bowl 2 years ago?
Oh my goodness. That is a day I will never forget, and I still have the videos and things I took from that day of just going absolutely insane, because I remember watching with my family. I was nervous. I wasn't sure if we were actually going to win. You know, playing the Patriots is no easy task ever, especially in the Super Bowl.
No, it's not.
And then once we won, since my parents' house is in Jersey, I drove out to Philly and was a part of that too. So then I was, you know, my sister and I, we went out in Philly when we were running the streets of Philly with everyone else, cheering, going crazy, and oh my goodness, that is the highs and lows of that game. And I will never forget the Philly special when Tom Brady dropped that pass and they attempted to. Oh my goodness, that's why even if they don't ever win another Super Bowl,
you got that one.
We beat the Patriots. I was able to watch it happen. It just doesn't get any better than everything that game embodied. Nick Foles stepping up after we thought we were down and out when Carson Wentz got injured. It was everything, and it was so exciting for Philly in general. I mean, for the next month any chance I could, I was like, yeah, my Eagles won the Super Bowl. You know, like it was like a permanent high for the next couple months where every time I could throw it in there, I was. And I was bringing it up in every conversation.
I bet.
How about those Eagles? But it was, oh goodness, that is being a part of a championship in the city that, you know, the championship winning team. I hope everyone gets to experience it at some point.
Yeah, well, being from Chicago, I follow the Chicago Bears. I follow the Indianapolis Colts due to my wife and my daughter. But my original team is the team that's playing for their 6th Super Bowl title this weekend, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. Some guy named Montana made me a 49er fan for life. So I have seen championships on top of championships. And speaking of which, let's complete the Philadelphia connection. I know you heard what happened Sunday. The floor is yours for your thoughts on one Kobe Bean Bryant.
Oh, geez. I'm speechless, actually. You know, I was coaching Sunday when I found out about the news, and I honestly was like shaking. You know, it felt like everything around me just froze.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't believe that. First of all, I didn't think it was real. I actually was posting saying, please, someone tell me this is fake. Someone, please, anyone, just tell me this does not really happen. And I think to me the biggest thing was, you know, I didn't know at the time that Gigi was on the helicopter as well. I didn't know all the details around it. Mm-hmm. And I know the day before here in Philly, the Lakers had just played the Sixers. LeBron had just passed Kobe. I was just having conversations because there were rumors that Kobe was actually going to be in Philly for the game. I mean, he's from the area. He played for the Lakers. LeBron was passing him. It only made sense for him to be here. So we were just talking about Kobe. You know, I was even like, oh man, I wish, you know, the people I was talking with, oh, you know, I'm bummed he's not here. I hope he could get here. I was hoping he could get here somehow. He was going to surprise everyone and be at the game. And then we were talking about, oh, LeBron passed Kobe. We were following that storyline. And then the next day he's gone. And it was like he just got wiped from the earth, just like that. And then to hear his daughter was in the helicopter. So then I'm wondering, so many questions are going through my head. Did they know they were going to crash? Did they know that they weren't going to survive? You know, what are those final moments like? Yeah. But that's the moment when I heard it, when I was like, you know what? No one's invincible. And Kobe Bryant, to me, there's certain people in this world that we look up to because of their talents, their skills, their accomplishments, that we almost see as invincible. And in that moment, it was a reality check that no one is above death. You know, we all have our time and our time is going to be called at some point. So what are we doing in the meantime? And my heart breaks for the Bryant family. I cannot even imagine what they're feeling right now. And I know I heard the older daughter had to be rushed to the hospital because she has bad asthma or has asthma and could not catch her breath. The other families of the victims, I had to actually take a step back. I honestly muted all my notifications on social media. I haven't actually, if anyone follows me on social media, you'll notice I have not been as active because every time I turn on my phone, something else pops up about, you know, something new developing piece to everything. And I can't take it all in. It's too much. Yeah. So I've actually taken a step back and just shut myself off and just been, going ghost a little bit to just continue to do what I have to do on the work side with my family and trying to make sense of what makes no sense at all. So this is something that I hope we never have to see and deal with again. I mean, something I was telling people is, you expect death to happen, of course. Everyone's going to die. Mm-hmm. But you just expect that, especially someone that does right, lives right, always positive, like Kobe, his daughter, who we always saw the two of them at games on the sidelines, I was looking forward to seeing how she was going to develop as a basketball player. Her road to the WNBA. And how he was going to be in that chapter of his life as Kobe, the dad, the proud dad. Like, we get to see Del Curry with Steph and looking forward to seeing that side of him, because Kobe the dad to me was even more special than Kobe the basketball player. Yeah. Seeing him teaching Gigi how to play and giving her pointers and stuff and watching him build up Mamba Academy. That's what almost breaks my heart more, is that she was so young and didn't get a chance to do all the great things that we thought our future had for her.
Yeah.
So my heart goes out to all the victims' families. I was, unfortunately, the first 24 hours, I was just constantly reading things and watching videos and watching the phone calls of the 911 call and everything, just trying to make sense of what happened. Mm-hmm. And then I had to realize you can't always explain everything. You know, a lot of things, we have to go by faith with the good and the bad. And that's what I'm trying to do, make sense of the fact that there's a bigger calling here that we don't know and don't see, but goodness, my God, it's awful. It's just awful.
Well, folks, if you want to follow Renee, I suggest you go to ReneePWashington.com. Yes, the Snowman does his research. Follow her on social media. Follow the show Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington. I recommend it. It's absolutely fabulous, and get it where you get your favorite podcast. I am a subscriber of it. I hope you become one too. And just to finish things off with the Philadelphia connection, I hope you can hear what I'm about to play. But this is the song I played after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And I played Fly, Eagles, Fly all day long during the show following the Super Bowl that year. Renee Washington joining me here on the program. Thank you so much, my dear. It's been a delight, and I hope to have you on again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure being on your show, and I love all the work you do as well. So thanks for following me, and I love following you, too.
Thank you very much. I truly appreciate it.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
I like him. He's silly.
Now let me welcome another good friend of mine by the name of William Morgan as we continue our tribute to Kobe and our basketball discussion in general. We'll get to our basketball discussion in just a moment, but first and foremost, my friend, your thoughts on this devastating news about Kobe Bryant.
It really hurts. It hurts me because he's definitely one of the all-time greats who've ever played the game. He wore his heart on his sleeve. He believed in hard work. If you wasn't going to work hard, he didn't want you out there on the floor with them, and I respect that. In terms of accomplishments, the man's a champion, multi-time champion, multiple-time All-Star. It really hurts. He also got a lot of players of today playing ball, be it the LeBron Jameses and so forth. Just a hard, devastating day. And then you come to find out that his daughter was in the helicopter with him. Mm-hmm. Just a hard day. Whew, man, it's tough.
So let's talk some basketball, some old school basketball, and do him some honor. We had planned this conversation a couple days ago because, quite frankly, I am sick and tired of people telling folks like you and me that we don't know our hoops.
Yes.
So I'll begin with this. This. Can we please disband the Oklahoma City Thunder and bring a team back to Seattle? Because Seattle got... look, if we're going to pay tribute to Kobe Bryant, who was one of the last of the old schoolers, we're going to do this the right way. with that electric smile
Right.
of his. Can we please have the Seattle Supersonics back?
I agree. Being from the area in Deering, Washington, I agree.
Can we please have the Seattle Supersonics?
Yes.
Please.
I agree. I'm there with you.
I was just talking to my wife, and she says she hasn't watched basketball in a while, and then the news about Kobe hit, and she said something that you and I both have echoed. Kobe Bryant, as well as the rest of the old schoolers you and I grew up watching, played with a passion.
Exactly. And, I'm glad you said that, because that's what makes people stand out. Is that no matter what your field is. I'm gonna bring up a couple of contemporaries while in this. Renee Washington, a young lady who I did fantasy football for this past season. When you see her out there, whether she's doing her own show, whether she's sideline reporting, you see not only her preparation, but you see that energy out there.
Absolutely.
You can tell she really wants to be there. I'll bring up another young lady. I don't know her personally, but we're Facebook friends, and we've gone back and forth on Facebook a little bit. Chelsea Nicole Nelson. There's another young lady.
She's delightful.
Yes.
She's a delight.
Yes. And the thing about it, the energy that they give to what they do, you see it.
Oh, yeah.
And that is what makes people different from others, is the fact they have the energy, they want to be there, and they project that energy out. And that energy is contagious, and it makes other people want to be there and step up to their level. So, yeah, I'm glad you said that, because
and you saw it with Kobe for 20 seasons.
Yep.
You saw it with Kobe for 20 years. And you and I have had discussions about a certain player that likes wearing number 23 now, and he didn't originate wearing the number 23. I'm going all the way there. If we're going to have fun with this and have some smiles like that big smile Kobe always wore for 20 years when he played hoops, then let's go all the way there.
Yes, sir.
It goes like this. Someone told me that LBJ was the greatest forward to ever play the game. Hell, let's go one step further. Ryan Hollins on First Take said LBJ was the greatest player ever, and Shaq shut him down by mentioning MJ and Kobe. Let's start with the forward spot, shall we? Because I can throw some old school forwards out there that did a lot more than he has done. And I know if I got a name in my head right now of a fellow who played the same way, bowled his way to the basket, didn't travel, by the way, and also and he also hit his free throws. Does the name Adrian Dantley mean anything to you?
Adrian, oh my goodness. A little undersized, but the man can play. Oh my goodness, the man can play.
Does the name Adrian Dantley mean anything to you?
Yes.
Does the name Alex English mean anything to you? How about if we can just go with just forwards, how about the legendary Charles Barkley?
Yep, exactly.
Somebody that's undersized and played the hell out of the forward position, there you go. How about James Worthy?
Yep. Big game James.
How about James Worthy?
Yep, okay. Big game James.
Big game James, and he was called Big Game James for a reason. You want to talk about forwards who actually played their position? aside of all those names I just mentioned, you should recognize this next one. How about Scottie Pippen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How about Scottie Pippen? Okay.
You got no. Let me tell you. You got no better than Scottie because of the fact with Scottie, he played ball on both ends.
He did.
He played, and when you go back and you look at the first Bulls championship, he was the one that kept. I'm not gonna say he completely stopped Magic Johnson,
but he
kept
slowed
Magic
him down.
Johnson in check. Yep.
He slowed him down.
Held him in check. Yep.
He slowed him down. How about you want?
6'7".
How about a couple? How about some more? How about some more old school forwards? Since we're talking Lakers, Kobe, this is for you. He played with this guy. How about AC Green?
Another AC Green, boy. How
about Mark Aguirre?
Remember him too. Yep.
How about?
It was a bad ball for the Pistons.
How about Dominique Wilkins? You want to talk about a smooth forward? There you go.
You know what? You know what? I'm still mad to this very day at Lenny Wilkins.
Yeah.
Because see, Lenny had a flaw. Lenny put a lot of personal into his team and Rosh's decisions.
Right.
He didn't like Dominique because Dominique went to the club. He wanted somebody who went to church, which is nothing wrong with that.
No.
But I'm not sure if I'm going to have a basketball team based on that. How do you trade Dominique Wilkins for Danny Manning? Not only did you do that, but you couldn't even find Danny Manning to stay.
Danny Manning wasn't having
Craziness. Yeah.
You want a forward that's done a lot more than LBJ? I interviewed this next guy, Cliff Levingston.
Yep. This is good.
I interviewed Cliff Levingston. All right?
This is good.
And do we dare bring up Tim Duncan?
Best power forward in the game.
Do we dare bring up a guy who spent most of his career as a center but played a forward for a while? Do we dare bring up Akeem Olajuwon?
The LeBron haters, the LeBron folks don't want to bring him up.
They don't want to bring. They don't want to bring him up. They really don't want to bring him up. Okay,
they don't want to bring him up.
Let's go all the way there. All right, let's go. How about some more old school? How about this name, Bernard King?
Yes, Bernard. Oh my goodness. Oh, Bernard, man.
And we're talking just gold. And folks, we're just talking golden era only from 1979 to 1998. How about this name? And I'm going to put the biggest smile on my wife's face when I say Larry Bird.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell, you can make an argument. You can make an argument that at one point in time he was the best player in basketball.
Yep.
At one point, you can make that argument.
Now we're talking about folks that can. We are talking about forwards that can also shoot. I'm going to put another smile on my wife's face when I say this. When I say this name, talking about shooters, Reggie Miller.
Yep.
Reggie Miller spent his entire 18-year career with the Indiana Pacers. He closed out Market Square Arena and opened up what was then at the time Conseco Fieldhouse. It's now Bankers Life Fieldhouse.
Sure did.
Speaking of the Pacers, since we're talking old school, let's take positions out of the equation. Speaking of the Pacers, Rick Smits. Remember him?
Love Rick. Love Rick.
And speaking of forwards, speaking of Pacer forwards, I'll go back to 1991. Chuck Person.
I remember Chuck. University of Auburn. I remember Chuck.
Chuck Person, Reggie Miller, Rick Smits, Vern Fleming was their point guard for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was. He was.
And I remember him as a Bulls fan, because Reggie Miller and Vern Fleming back in the late 80s used to give us fits.
Yep.
But I loved watching him play.
Yep.
It's one of those.
Yep.
It's one of those kind of, you hate seeing them play against your team, but you love seeing them play. That describes my love-hate relationship with the Boston Celtics because of Larry Bird. With the Lakers, you know that squad, the Showtime Lakers. Mention the Indiana Pacers, Reggie Miller, Vern Fleming, Rick Smits, and Rick Smits was something else. Okay.
Yep.
We're doing this in honor of Kobe Bryant, folks. A horrible helicopter crash took he and his daughter's life, but we're pumping life back into the situation, talking some good basketball, because Kobe ushered in not one but two eras, 3 if you count the Splash Brothers. 3 if you count the Splash Brothers. Okay?
Yep.
I mentioned the Seattle Supersonics. There were 2 forwards on that team that I loved seeing play together. Xavier McDaniel.
I love Xavier.
And Tom Chambers.
Yep.
And Tom Chambers is so underrated, it's not even funny.
And Xavier McDaniel was the dude that was the muscle. Yep,
that he was.
He was the muscle. Mm-hmm. He was the muscle for that team.
He was the muscle.
Yep.
He was the muscle for Seattle, and then later became the muscle for New York. Speaking of forwards, Charles Oakley. How about that?
I love Charles Oakley back in the day. I was just mad that we traded him for Bill Cartwright. I get it.
Yeah.
The Bulls needed a center at the time, but I don't. Wish we could have kept him.
I wish we could have kept him too, but I believe it would have stunted the Bulls' growth. I understand why they traded him, but I love Charles Oakley.
I do too.
But I do understand why they made the move, and why it paid off.
And plus, too, if they would have kept Charles, they probably would have never drafted Horace Grant.
This is true. And Horace and Scotty would have never meshed, or never gotten a chance. Speaking of forwards, why did I not mention this name? He finished his career as a guard, but he was a forward for most of his career. How can I forget Julius Erving?
Yeah. He started out as a small forward, but he ended up as guard. You're right.
He finished his career as a guard, but he was a forward for many years.
I'm gonna tell you another name. That this dude is underrated too.
Hit me.
You remember Reggie Theus?
Oh my God, yes. Out of UNLV.
Yep.
Speaking of which,
people
underrated. I got another one. He spent some time in Sacramento. He finished his career in Indiana. LaSalle Thompson.
Yeah. I brings back the days.
LaSalle Thompson.
I still have his basketball card somewhere around here.
Nice. Here's a forward that Kobe played with. This is Kobe. This is for you. Here's a forward that Kobe played with that I loved watching him mesh together with, Pau Gasol.
Yep. Love Paul, big man that can shoot, rebound, bring the ball up a little bit. I like Paul Gasol.
Yeah.
Yep.
But since we're
I don't
talking,
like the way they got.
Yeah.
I don't like the way the Lakers got him. Box of cookies and Kwame Brown. What other than that?
Kwame Brown. Let's move on. I mentioned. Let's move on. We're doing this for laughs because Kobe loved to laugh, so that's how we're tying all this in. I mentioned bring back the Seattle SuperSonics and disband the Thunder. Can we? I'm going to get some pushback for this, but can we also, just for name's sake only, can we also have a Washington Bullets? I understand. Now, I say that with a preface. I understand why they changed the name. At the time they changed the name because there was a lot of violence going on. I get that. I understand that. But didn't Washington Bullets just roll off the tongue?
It sounded better than the Wizards, and it gave them a little bit of toughness too. Yes. Now you look at them and it's like, duh. I mean, I love Bradley Beal. Don't get me wrong.
Yes,
I love John Wall. I love John Wall when he's healthy.
Yeah,
when he's healthy,
he's
very good.
That's the problem.
When he's healthy, he's very good.
When he's healthy.
Yep.
But it was just something. It was just something about saying Washington Bullets, and I've been known on this program to mess up purposely. Instead of saying Washington Wizards, saying Washington Bullets.
it just gives an air of toughness that they don't have on the Wizards.
They don't. They really don't. Now let's move let's talk some point guards, shall we? Because I know two that played on the same team for a year, and then one got traded. They kept the other. One of them is Mark Price. The other is Kevin Johnson.
Another Kevin Johnson. Moved Kevin to Phoenix.
Yep. They were both members of the Cleveland Cavaliers for a while.
Yep. Sure was.
They kept Price and they moved KJ, and it was the smartest move they did in moving KJ to Phoenix.
Yep. It was, because they helped Phoenix evolve at the time.
It did.
And while the Cavs stayed relevant as well. So, yeah, that was a good move. Good move for both teams.
And Mark Price used to give us fits.
Bruh,
you know how Steph comes off those screens and just unleashes jump shots? Mark Price was doing it first. Okay?
Man, I hated Mark Price, and I hated Craig Elo because they both played. They played the most consistent ball I have ever seen in my life. I hated those guys. Oh.
In the late 80s, anybody that was a Bulls fan in the late 80s, we hated going to Detroit. We hated going to Cleveland. In many ways, we hated going to Indiana because they had more talent than us at the time. And talking about the late 80s.
Yep.
You know what? Mark Price used to kill us. Mark Price used to kill us. And you know my favorite basketball announcer was that of Jim Durham. I remember one school night, I got a chance to watch the Bulls play the Cleveland Cavaliers at the Richfield Coliseum. How's that for old school? The Richfield Coliseum. And I remember this sequence by Jim Durham. John Paxson had just split a pair of free throws. It was we were down 6. And I remember listening, and I'm doing some homework, and I hear Harper on the move, running Nance screen. Price launches a 3. Good from the right side. This game is over. And I turned off the radio. I turned off the radio.
What?
As soon as I hear Jim Durham say Price launches a 3, I turned off the radio because you knew it was in.
Yep. Very good shooter. Very good ball handler.
Yes.
Can shoot from almost any spot on the floor. He wasn't the best defender, but at least he did try to play defense. And, you know, at the end of the day, you had to respect the man because he brought it every game.
He did. He did.
He didn't get a chance to go to the championship, but still a very good player, and definitely worth tonight being the star of this old school special.
And you want to hear some more old school point guards? How about John Stockton?
Ooh.
How about Pistol Pete Maravich?
Yep.
How about Dennis Johnson?
I'm gonna tell you, I love the rivalry when you saw Golden State and Utah play Tim Hardaway versus John Stockton.
Mm-hmm.
I love that little rivalry.
Tim Hardaway, another one. Tim Hardaway.
Yep.
One of the original Warriors when I was growing up watching.
That UTEP two-step wasn't no joke, boy.
No, it wasn't. And Kevin Johnson was no joke with Phoenix.
He wasn't. He really wasn't. He helped that team. If it wasn't for Michael Jordan, I think that Phoenix team would have won a title. I really do. Because that Phoenix team was talented. That's when you had KJ,
Barkley.
And I really think they would have won a title.
Yep. That, which brings to mind a quote from one Chauncey Billups. There's a guard for you. Chauncey Billups. Mr. Big Shot himself.
Tough nose. Wasn't scared of the moment at all.
Was not frightened at all.
Wasn't the fastest point guard, but his game was never predicated off speed to begin with.
Nope.
Tough defender, just tough, hard-nosed player, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chauncey Billups said, and I'm paraphrasing, when Michael Jordan was in the league, nobody won a championship with him playing. When the Bulls rose to power in 1991, nobody won a championship on his watch. With LeBron, everybody's winning championships on his watch.
And don't forget, too, he couldn't guard little J.J. Barea either. He couldn't guard him.
Couldn't guard Jason
Terry.
Terry.
Was taking it, boy. Little J.J. Barea.
He couldn't guard Jason Terry. And Jason Terry lit him up like a Christmas tree. Jason Terry lit him up.
Exactly.
That wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen with Kobe.
Nope.
Guarantee you that wouldn't happen with Kobe because Kobe didn't play that.
Sure wouldn't.
Kobe would not play that at all.
Nope.
He wouldn't have that on his watch. That's one thing I loved about Kobe. One thing I love about MJ, Kobe, the other guys that we mentioned, they don't play that. They don't. They really don't. And you have to remember, when I speak of the golden era, 1979 to 1998, that's when you had the most all-stars come through that era. And nothing against what happened before that era, nothing against it at all. I mean, hell, Bill Russell's the greatest winner. 11 championships.
Yep. 11 titles. Mm-hmm.
Tom Heinsohn has 8.
Yep.
Okay? Robert Horry has 7. Okay, not Tom Heinsohn. Casey Jones has 8. Okay? A player and a coach. All right?
And a coach.
Bill Russell went out as a champion. He was a player coach, 1969.
Yep.
And he went out as a champion.
Bill Russell doesn't really get the due that he deserves.
He really doesn't. And I hate the fact that he doesn't. Magic Johnson said it best. And I'll never forget what Magic said. Michael Jordan is the greatest player. Bill Russell's the greatest winner.
There you go.
You can't make it any plainer than that. Because you got to admit, when we started watching basketball and Michael Jordan showed up in 1984, we got spoiled fast.
We did. Real fast.
We got
real fast.
We got spoiled. We got spoiled with the Showtime Lakers, Bird, McHale, and Robert Parrish. All right. Julius Erving, Maurice Cheeks, and Andrew Toney. And yes, I'm mentioning Andrew Toney in this conversation.
Ain't no wrong with that.
I
It
know.
won that title.
And who doesn't how can you forget Andrew Toney on that 83 Sixer team that was coached by one of the best in Billy Cunningham?
Yep. Yep, exactly. That title they won was legit too.
Yeah, it was. Oh, you want a forward that's better than LeBron? That should be, and I believe he is in the Hall of Fame. How about from that 83 Sixer team? I'll throw this name at you, and I know I'm going to get a smile from you when I say his name, Bobby Jones.
Oh, I remember Bobby.
Number 24. That's for Kobe also, because Kobe wore 24. Number 24 for the 76ers, Bobby Jones. Yep,
I remember Bobby. Mm-hmm.
You can't go wrong with Bobby Jones, man.
You can't.
I mean, of course, there's some of the ones from the later stages. Mentioned Karl Malone from the Utah Jazz. Mm-hmm. Mentioned Bernard King, spent time in Washington and in New York. How about this name? Former net-turned-Blazer, Buck Williams.
But don't get the respect he deserves. He with him, Drexler, Porter,
Here's a forward that doesn't get the respect he deserves. How about Terry Cummings?
You know what? you got me on that one.
How about Terry Cummings?
Terry was good. He was really good. What he lacked, maybe in athleticism in his later years.
And he couldn't stay healthy. He couldn't stay healthy. That was the problem. I love Terry Cummings.
Yeah, when he was in his prime, he was really, really good.
Oh yeah,
really good.
Oh, here's a forward for you from those Bucks teams. Two of them, as a matter of fact. Do you remember a fellow by the name of Paul Pressey?
Yep, I remember Paul. Mm-hmm.
And how about Jack Sikma? Remember him?
Both of them. Mm-hmm.
And remember, Sikma was in Seattle for the longest time.
Yeah.
Sikma was in Seattle for the longest time. Then he got traded to Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. And the one thing he lacked in Seattle, he developed in Milwaukee, and that was a jump shot.
Yep.
Because how the hell can you explain him shooting threes later in his career? That extended his career by another 4 years because he could shoot. Yep.
That's what made AC Green so viable, because he perfected that baseline jumper.
The baseline jumper, absolutely. That's what made James Worthy. That's what made James Worthy viable as well. He developed a jump shot. Alex English, he developed a jump shot.
Yep.
Mark Aguirre, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And while I'm talking old Mavericks and old Lakers and old Sonics as well, how about Sam Perkins?
Sam was good. Sam was good.
How about Sam Perkins? How about Robert Reed from the Rockets?
He don't went back. I don't went back. Oh my goodness, he don't went back to the days. Oh.
Robert Reed.
Oh man. Hit the
How many times have you seen Robert Reed hit that baseline jumper for Houston?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
How about Kevin McHale?
Oh, that's an automatic too. You put him on that low block, it's over.
It's over.
It's over.
It's over.
Shaq couldn't even stop him.
Nope.
Shaq couldn't even stop him.
Nope. Shaq couldn't even come up with a way to stop him. AC Green neither.
And the thing with Kevin McHale, he will always take an elbow for whatever arm so he can get that separation.
So we can get the separation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they call it a torture chamber. That's why they call it a torture chamber. I wouldn't want to guard him. Automatic too. You hit it, you put him on that next to low block or on that low block. It's done. Automatic too. It's done. It's done. Nobody. Nope. And I'm trying to go back. Barkley couldn't stop him. Rick Mahorn could. Nobody. Rick Mahorn. Thank you for that name, Rick Mahorn. Rick Mahorn. Even Mahorn couldn't stop him. If Mahorn couldn't stop him, it was done. Nope. It was done. It was done. It was the reason why the Celtics was hard to beat back in the day. Mm-hmm. Speaking of old school Celtics, the fellow that backed up Kevin McHale. Remember Fred Roberts? Yep, I remember Fred. He had a few big games for him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember that. He had some big games. He had some big games for the Celtics. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. And then he later played. Then he later played for the Bucks. Yeah. And then he later played for the Bucks. Yep, he did. We're having a great time. We're having a great time talking. Yeah, we are. We're having a great time talking old school, paying our tribute to Kobe Bryant with some of the players that we mentioned. William Morgan, the host of the Sports Report, here with me. And while I'm thinking about it, since we're just jumping all over with different positions and different players, I don't even have to mention Michael Jordan. Nah, you ain't got to mention him. Nah. I don't have to mention the fellow who originated wearing number 23. If you look at Michael, and I'm glad you brought him up because Kobe's game was patterned after him. Yes. Maybe not his personality or his mentality, but his game was patterned after Mike. And the one thing about Michael, everybody keeps saying the one knock against Michael was his assist totals. But the thing with me is you have to remember, you didn't want Michael Jordan bringing the ball up the floor. You had Scottie Pippen bringing the ball up the floor. So let's not forget that. And if you put that in context, Scottie would bring it up, give it to Michael, and then from that point forward, particularly when it was crunch time, Michael just took over. Mm-hmm. Just took over. And Michael was legit 6'6". Yes. Yeah, Mike was 6'6". Scotty 6'7". What are you going to do against that pair? A little Kobe Bryant tribute. We go back to 2002, 2003. One of the greatest Kobe Bryant games I ever watched. They're playing the Dallas Mavericks, and they were down by 30. And this is courtesy of ESPN, the NBA, and the Lakers. This is the final sequence. And this is Mike Tirico on the call.
The Brian Shaw guy you normally wouldn't be concerned about, but he's hit 2 in a row, so you better be cognizant of where that veteran is. In Kobe's hands, 8 to go. Bryant's had an unbelievable quarter. He spins, he shoots. Lakers lead! Timeout time! 8.4 to go!
They won that game 105-103. That was the game winner. Mike Tirico on the call. Wow. This is what's missing in the NBA. Here it is again, folks.
Better be cognizant of where that veteran is. In Kobe's hands, 8 to go. Bryant's had an unbelievable quarter. He spins, he shoots. Lakers lead! Timeout time! 8.4 to go!
This is when the NBA changed for me. This season, 2002-2003. And I hate saying it like that because it just went down after that as far as I'm concerned. Am I saying the wrong thing here?
No, I don't think so. I just think the way kids after that point looked at the game changed.
Mm-hmm.
I think that when kids looked at the game, they looked at it from a superficial standpoint.
Right.
I want to be able to dunk. I want to be able to shoot the three. But the thing that wasn't so sexy for them to learn after that point, that generation had, was the fundamentals.
Right. And say that word again for me, please. Say that word again. Fundamentals. I'm sorry, did you say fundamentals was missing in today's NBA?
Yes.
I've been saying that for years, and it's the truth. Matter of fact, let me go back to 2004, since we're paying tribute to Kobe with an old school conversation. This is Game 2, NBA World Championship Series 2004. Doc Rivers and Al Michaels on the call, clip courtesy of ABC and the NBA. Mm-hmm. Detroit 89, Lakers 86. We're at the Staples Center. 8 seconds left, clock running, and then this happened.
And everyone is paying attention to Kobe Bryant.
They start with Shaq. He gives it to Walton. Here comes Kobe. Less than 5 from way outside. Got it! Oh, man! With 2.1.
And the Staples Center exploded.
You know what? A lot of these guys who were also calling the games needs to be respected too, because there's a few guys I liked. I liked Doc Rivers on the call.
Yeah, Doc Rivers was fantastic. Doc Rivers was fantastic.
I thought Mike Fratello wasn't bad either.
Oh, the czar of the telestrator. Can't go wrong with him. But like I said, I'm kind of spoiled.
Yeah,
I've been spoiled because the voice you're about to hear was the voice from my childhood when it came to watching and listening to the Chicago Bulls. We go back to 1987, and I know I'm dating myself here, but I don't care. Anyone who knows me, and I'm trying to get the clip up here, anyone who knows me or knows of me knows I love this voice.
Sports Arena. A sold-out LA Sports Arena as the Bulls visit the Los Angeles Clippers. Good evening, everyone. Jim Durham with Johnny Kerr here in Los Angeles. The Bulls trying to halt a
Jim Durham and Johnny Kerr.
They're coming off their 6th
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When it was Sports Vision.
Yep.
When it was Sports Vision, not Sports Channel, because Sports Channel hadn't migrated to Chicago yet. It was Sports Vision.
Yep. Exactly.
As a matter of fact, let me find a clip where Jim Durham called a Kobe Bryant shot. I think that would be fitting for us to close this segment. And if I find it, I'm going to set the table for you guys. The year was 2002. It was the Western Conference Finals between the Kings and the Lakers, and I'm going to have a Kings fan on here in a little bit. Yeah, you know the clip I'm going for.
Yep.
You know the clip I'm going for. You know the clip I'm. Let me see if I can find it. And I don't want the NBC clip. I want the clip where Jim Durham called it for ESPN Radio.
Ooh.
I want to find that clip. And I'm going to try my best to find it.
Mm.
Actually, Robert Horry hit that game winner. Kobe just set it up.
He just set it up for him.
Yeah,
it was Robert Horry, I believe.
There it is. Yeah, Robert Horry hit the game. Robert Horry hit the game-winning three. Why am I thinking Kobe? Why am I thinking Kobe Bryant hit it? Because Kobe set him up. Because Kobe set him up. That's why. I think this is the NBC call. We're gonna find out here in a moment. William Morgan.
7 seconds. Bryant putting the move on Christie. Rebound O'Neal.
Yeah. I'll have to find it another time. I gotta let you go. I got some more guests coming on here, but William Morgan joining me as we pay homage to Kobe Bean Bryant with a lot of old school conversation. Y'all will hear this on my NBA podcast as well, and you'll hear this conversation in its entirety. Man, I cannot, for such a horrible circumstance as the NBA world losing one Kobe Bryant, I cannot thank you enough for coming on and talking some old school sports, some old school NBA, paying homage to Kobe and paying homage to the old school. I can't thank you enough for coming on, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Anytime. Rest in peace, Kobe. Rest in peace.
We got more after this.
I decided to go off the board this morning. Now, y'all heard me expose a little bit of an issue that's going on in society. The men are not standing up for themselves, and there are many, many reasons behind that. I told my story earlier today about how I was verbally, emotionally, and physically abused in a relationship I had 2 years ago. You know why men don't stand up for themselves? Because when they make a confession like that into the public, hardly anyone believes them. We're going to talk about a few more things that affect men in society. On the line with me right now is a gentleman I had the pleasure of hosting a show with, along with my buddy Matt Granahan, when we did a 3-hour man chat session on the King's Court. I'll replay that later in the week. Charles Faulkner joins me on the Cleaver Supplements hotline. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful, enjoying this Memorial Day. Shout out to all my fellow veterans out there, past and present.
Same here, man. All right, let's get down to it. We talked about this before, and it needs to continue to be talked about. There is no kind of major help for men, doesn't matter what color, race, or creed, when they go through a situation that a woman goes through. And I'll start with this. What happens to a man when he gets abused in a relationship? He tries to tell his story, and no one bothers to believe him.
You got to look at it from a standpoint that I was just talking to my best friend, Sean Gillespie, about how equality does not make everything equal. It never has and it never will. For example, I'm not a sexist individual, but think about it. If we didn't have in the military or in any police departments or paramilitary organizations like such, their jobs, what men do, a lot of women would not be in that profession. Not being sexist, not saying women don't belong in the military or the police departments around the country. I'm just saying, if you had to compete on the same level, would you be there? Two.
Yeah, you got that right.
Two. Let's look how the world views men on a fundamental scale. If a woman says she can't take care of her child, she will get housing, benefit, food stamps. Sometimes even education. Sometimes educational benefit.
In a heartbeat.
How many women get that? How many? And let's look at the flip side. If a man says he can't pay child support, what happens to him?
He goes to jail.
Exactly. So it's something that I've talked to you on, not only in person, but also on Facebook Messenger, about the welfare mind state. You might have heard many other views on YouTube, such as Obsidian, The Angry Man, the Shaky Jack, others talk about it. I see it firsthand at my living, the welfare mind state. And I'm pretty sure all of our Caucasian, Asian, and other brothers from another mother sees this, but you don't see it more rampantly than the black community.
Man, that's the truth.
Why? Let's go back in history when it comes to feminism. The reason why a lot of women won't get married is because you bought the bullshit of what feminism is.
Man. Preach.
I can't get a man, I need a man, but guess what? When you have all this education, and let's talk about it, a lot of black women, I'm not knocking you sisters out there getting your bachelor's, PhDs,
right.
No. But think about it. A lot of you get your degree, and they're not in STEM. They're usually communication, social work. I'm not going to shit on nursing because that's a tough job and it's very technical.
Yeah, it is.
But a lot of it is in those fields. So with the exception of nursing, because we'll always need nurses, your social work, think about it. A friend of mine, she was even saying, he said, think about it. You need a master's degree to make even half decent money in social work. Same thing for communication.
Mm-hmm.
And let's even go in depth into the government working, the people who work in the government. If you didn't have a government job with a communications degree, how are you going to be competitive in the work world?
Yeah. This mind state, not a mindset, but this mind state, hit me in the face after my nephew was born in 1998. Now, were there some extenuating circumstances? Certainly. His biological father wanted to be in his life, but didn't, and in some cases couldn't. But at the same time, it gets thrown in his face it got thrown in his face all the time, and it got him so stressed out, and I'm using that term very, very lightly, to the point where he actually walked away. And I think of it this way. He was forced to walk away because when he tried to be in my nephew's life, he was met with resistance and tons of it.
Of course. Think about it. How many times I go to a call and a woman wants a guy, I want him out of my house. He's not on the lease. But how long has he been living there? Because you want things your way. And I'm not saying that's all women, but we know not all women are in welfare mind state.
Exactly.
The problem is too many women in the welfare mind state. And look at child support. If child support was ever about the caretake of the child, if you need to take money from me, then that means you cannot take care of this child, correct?
Correctamundo.
So why not give the child to the person who's most likely to take care of the child?
And most capable of taking care of the child.
Exactly. So when you look at this with your mind's eye, or the pineal gland, I guess your third eye, as we said in systemic, you open up logic, as Lionel said in the Thundercat, might be on sight. You can foresee the stupidity and the destruction in that welfare mind state.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is, because of the 60s and the 70s, which you had feminism and many other things,
gone
because
wild.
remember, the civil rights movement worked. Think about it. You have, upon civil rights, what happened? You had women could work.
Yep.
You had, they had to compete. Remember, when black men and black women were together, Remember, at 85%, black men and black women are married at adult age.
Yep.
More than whites, more than Hispanics, more than Asians. So, and this is coming from 1890 to 1970?
Yep.
Almost a century. So, what happened? You had the 60s and 70s with feminism. Then you had crack in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And people forget, let's have a historical moment, that the war on drugs started with Richard Nixon.
Bullseye.
But it was galvanized by Ronald Reagan.
In 1986.
Exactly. So what happened was a lot of fathers, because in the 80s, that's when the United States was moving out the industrial age, where you could be a high school dropout and still make damn good money working at a steel mill.
Yep.
Working at a factory. Working at, a carpentry place. Working somewhere, you can make damn good money, buy a house, buy a car, and you only had an 8th grade education.
And if you were living, like in Chicago, where I'm from, or within those surrounding areas, like, Gary, Indiana, another place I'm familiar with, you hook up with a job in a steel mill at that time, you were set, man. You put in your 40, you pay your bills, you can get a house, get settled, take care of your family. When that age started to, and it didn't die down slowly, I mean, it just went flat.
Now, I remember when I was a kid, we had something called Inner Harbor Ford, where you had a lot of cars shipped in, sold, a little bit of, they had repairs, gone. And to think about it, my grandfather had an 8th grade education, became a mechanic, a trade mechanic by trade, and took care of 4 kids and a wife before they got divorced.
Yep.
And still put in 30 years before retiring. So, what changed? Let's go back into the 90s. The 90s were interesting too, because look what also happened in urban communities. Trades were being taken out of the high schools.
Yes.
So there was no more of benefiting the black man, or if you were in the white man or Asian man within the urban communities, there was no more benefiting you.
No more benefiting of the man, period. And the late 80s, coming from a public high school myself in Chicago, I saw that being started in the late 80s. I'm talking 88, 89, and parts of 90 when I graduated. And all through the 90s, like you said, Charles, the trades were being taken out of the high schools, which basically left the young men to fend for themselves, and everything was being stacked against them as time went on in the 90s.
And what also happened? We saw an increasing amount of urban men, black men, white men who live in urban men, period, being in jail, especially during the Clinton, administration. When people call him the first black president, kind of ironic that he put more black people in jail than we had in history. So let's look at the 2000s. You had an increased number of black women going to school, increased number of black women getting more preferential treatment, because they said since the 80s, why aren't these girls, doing as well as the boys in science? Because boys typically do things that's better, which are logical, like science, like math, which are more logical sciences. I can remember when I went to grade school, I was in the 6th grade and I was doing 9th, 10th, and 11th grade level science and social studies. Women love the social studies, the English, the communicative, subject. So set them up. You start seeing an influx of women doing better, especially in the urban communities, than the girls doing better than the boys.
Yeah.
Because there was so much placed on them. So now you have what they have. Oh, we're the fastest growing minority. Let's look at that historically.
Let's.
You only have 10% more black female graduates due to the fact that there's 10% more black females in college.
Mm-hmm.
And not all of them, yeah, you have a lot of them in college, but it's not like you're graduating from universities in 4 years. A lot of them are for juniors and community.
Yep.
Let's look at the work rate. Black men with blue-collar trades still learn more.
Mm-hmm. They do.
And what happened? You have what? Now from being from an 80%, 83% of from 1890 to 1970 in Murray homes, you're now having a birth rate of what? Out of wedlock birth rate of 73%.
And that number is still climbing to this day. And this is 2017. That number is still climbing to this day, and it's the scariest number in society to look at.
Exactly. And look what happens. You have an alarming rate of violent crime, joblessness,
mm-hmm.
and there's no built structure in the community.
There really isn't.
Because I hate to tell a lot of people this, you'll never hear a man say, I'm strong and independent, because they'll look at you like, motherfucker, you're supposed to be.
Ain't that the truth?
And here's for your female listeners. If you want to get a man, do not talk about how much money you make. Do not talk about your career. That's like trying to beat Superman at a bench press contest.
Thank you.
It's not going to happen.
Thank you.
We don't think about that.
The young lady that I'm seeing right now, I met her outside of Jasper, Indiana. She told me flat out, it ain't about the money, it's about me supporting you and you loving what you do.
Exactly.
And I was so unhappy when I was down in Jasper, Indiana, and I told this story when I revived the show. She looked me in the eye and said, you get your ass out of here and go home and you do what you love to do, because there is something that needs to be released. And I also spoke of this. The question that I said to myself, and I got this courtesy of listening to Colin Cowherd when his wife posed the question to him, are you living where you want to live, and are you doing what you want to do? And my answer was no to both questions. And when I said that aloud to Tabitha, she looked me in the eye and said, okay, you answered that question. Now what do you do? And it wasn't her berating me either. It was her, like, giving me a kick in the ass saying, you know what you love to do. Go do it.
Damn right.
And she also said to me, I'm finding an injury myself, but when I'm healed, I'm there. And I said, does it matter where we go? She says, honey, we can go to Charlotte, North Carolina. We can go to Chicago. Wherever you are, I am. And that's not me putting the black woman down. It's just a woman telling me how she feels and what she wants me to do to get back to being me, period.
Yeah, she's supposed to be the support system, the backbone. If we're the tank, then guess what? She needs to be the fuel. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Yes, sir.
A lot of women don't understand.
They don't.
If you want to keep a man forever, it's the small things. Even the Bible says, husband, love your wives. Wife, respect your husband.
Absolutely.
Men don't really care about being loved. We care about being respected.
Mm-hmm.
And when you disrespect us, it takes a toll.
Yeah, it does.
And a lot of ladies like, well, you're men, you could take it. Even if we could take it, why would we?
Exactly. Why would we? And why should we? How about those two questions?
It's just like you said about your nephew in his book. he wasn't being respected. So what would a self-respecting man do? Leave the situation altogether.
Yeah, you get the hell out.
There's plenty of men who fight to be with their kids. Remember, you don't have a deadbeat dad if he's fighting to be with his kids.
Absolutely.
Because guess what? There's some motherfuckers that aren't shit, but it's very few. Remember, there's the statistics that people don't want to let you know that they build off the stereotypes, especially about black men.
Oh, my goodness. We're going to go there. Charles Faulkner with the Snowman this morning talking about what happens or what has happened to the male in society, taking color out of the equation, bringing facts into the equation. Go on, Charles.
40% of black men don't even have kids. 52% are the best fathers in the world. They're more interactive than any other father on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Only 8% of dads, especially black dads, are the actual quote-unquote deadbeat.
Yeah.
And even those stories are subject for interpretation.
And people don't want to bring all that. People don't want to bring those numbers up at all. You know why they don't want to bring those numbers up at all? Because society has catered to the woman for a long time, and they want to keep that going, and they don't want to dig deep into the situation of why the numbers are the way that they are.
Exactly. Think about it. If I had an agenda and I told the truth, especially if it went against my agenda, wouldn't that destroy everything?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it would, in a heartbeat.
So, think about it. When you have this welfare mind state, it's like I told you of Matt on the last interview. The welfare mind state exists due to liberalism.
Yeah.
And liberalism does a few things. One, it does not let you accept responsibility for your actions.
True.
Nor does it let you look at reality.
True again.
If you look at every urban community in America, not just Chicago, not just Detroit, Baltimore, Compton, Stockton, Dade County, Miami, New York, Boston, Philly. Look at all these places. What do they have in common? High crime rates, failing education systems, and a large sum of single-parent homes.
Very large.
So you're telling me that nobody said you were to blame for having... It's funny. I'm going to give you a perfect example. A friend of mine was making a joke, and he said, what would you say to a woman who said, oh, her baby father is this and that, and he's not good and all that? I said, that's your fault because you should have picked better men.
Preach that, Charles. Preach that.
Because last time I checked, a woman's the last say when you have sex.
This is true. Nobody wants to think about that. Here's something I went through. I've spoken to you about this so many times. My baby girl, who passed in 2015, was not, I believe, fairly given a chance to be with both parents. Because at the time I was engaged to my daughter's mother, Liz. Liz's family intercepted every single plan. Want to take a guess as to why?
Why?
Liz is white and I wasn't. How about that?
Right. And for some reason, stereotypes follow us.
Man! You better preach that, man.
You could hear, to all your fans and even your critics listening, you hear two articulate black males, and we even have a Caucasian brother in Matt.
Yes.
Just two articulate black males, one articulate, and God, we love our flamboyant brother from another, Matt.
Matt is one of the best, man.
Shout out to Matt. And You hear us talk about these subjects, but yet we'll always be stereotyped. And even if you take the White brothers, and Matt told us about his issue when it came to his kid.
Right.
The shit he goes through.
Mm-hmm.
And there's women who, once again, because of liberalism, are not allowed to see reality.
Yep.
And question, why are all these men talking so down about women? Where does Matt live?
South Carolina.
He lives in South Carolina. I'm from Baltimore. You're from Illinois. If we come from three different places on the great country that we call the United States of America, and we tell similar stories, what the hell does that tell you?
It tells you men are being screwed out of society. Let's just call it the way we see it. It's what I do. It's what I've been doing as a play-by-play announcer for 21 seasons. Call it like you see it. Men are being emasculated, and more to the point, and people hate when I use this word, but it's the truth, and you know what I'm going to tell you. Not only are men being emasculated in society, they are also being eliminated from society.
Exactly. Think about it. And I like to quote people, like the Angry Man brought up a good point from his show. He says companies are being given tax breaks to giving black women jobs.
Yep.
Not against. They're getting big tax breaks because they got a double minority, black and female.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of saying, hey, I'm going to help my man build, I'm going to get this money up and I'm going to help him start a business, go to school, no, I'm going to look down on you. Think about it.
It's the truth, man. Because, like I said, when I met Tabitha down in Jasper, Indiana, all she looked at me and said, I want to be with somebody that cares about me no matter what color. Do you know the first time I went to see her, we talked all night?
Oh, man, it was beautiful.
It was wonderful. It is wonderful. She and I, even when I moved back here to the Chicago area, we talk every day, whether it be for 5 minutes or 45 minutes, whether it be once a day or 4 times a day. We talk every day, man.
And I want to give a little tips to dating for a lot of your female fans and listeners.
Go for it.
If you make a man feel like he's wanted and needed and respected, you will always keep that man.
And you know something? I got a very dear friend. I got a very dear friend. I got a very dear friend. Her name's Donna Cavanaugh. There will be a couple times she'll argue to the contrary, but she's been my friend for 3 years now, and she's seen the shit that I've gone through with some of the women I've been with. I know she'll give a thumbs up to that statement with my situation. I give the same thumbs up because my parents were married 40 years before my dad passed away due to prostate cancer. And in case you're tuning in, this is Charles Faulkner along with the Snowman. We're talking males in society or the elimination thereof. But you are so right with that. You are so right with that. And like I said, it could be only 5 minutes, but it could be 45 minutes. But at least Tabitha and I are on the phone every damn day talking about and making future plans at the same time. When a man is appreciated, and I've said this word, I know Donna's heard me say this word, Tabitha's heard me say this word, all of the fans that tune in to Snowman in the morning have heard me use this word so many times. When a man is appreciated, he will go to the moon and back several times over.
Yes, he will move heaven and earth by hand for you when he's appreciated and respected.
When he's appreciated, loved, and respected the right way, man, you can't tell me there's nothing he won't do or can't do. All right?
And I tell people this because a lot of people don't understand normal relationships. Like,
right.
the nuclear family is almost dead in America.
Yeah, it is. You know, and you know what? Donna just shot me a text message. She's tuning in right now. She makes a good point. She says only if the man is a good man. She makes that valid point because there are some men. There are some men that take advantage of that treatment. All right, so she makes that very valid point. I will give her that. And a couple of other folks have texted me while we've had this conversation, and they've said the same thing. So let's just put a number behind it. People love to live in numbers. 90% of the men who are loved and respected and treated the right way, not only will they return it, they'll return it tenfold. Period.
Exactly. And we're not talking about the shit bag.
No.
We're not talking about the shit bags because we know first and foremost that it's the same thing when people tell me, oh, there's so many bad and corrupt cops.
Mm-hmm.
I said, once again, let's look at logic. If there was a lot of bad and corrupt cops, what are you going to do? Because unfortunately in urban society, you don't have guns. So you be talked into taking your guns away. Which is my grandfather, who's 80, I'm 35, he's 85, looks like he's 45. Please, Lord, I can have some genetics. The point he made was, he was like, about it. If all the people were bad, you gave up your guns, and all the cops were bad, why hasn't the cops made it into a military state?
Mm-hmm.
Because last time I checked, you still see people on the corners, you see people chilling out, and the cops don't bother them.
Exactly.
Out of a storefront and they tell you to move. So, if we were all that corrupt, why would you still call us?
Exactly.
It goes back into using your logical mind. And to answer the caller about the good men, there's plenty of good men. It's just that, is it the good men that a lot of women are attracted to? Or a lot of women going for caddish men?
You know something, we'll use that as our final point to close. And folks, you'll hear Charles with me another time, and you'll also hear this on the on the Snowman in the Morning podcast as well as the BS podcast this week. So pay attention. You will hear this conversation again. But let's close with that point. Okay? With so many men being emasculated and eliminated from society, it changes what the women are attracted to. And I'm going to say something that's going to piss a lot of black women off, but I don't care. I lived it, I went through it, and I continue to go through it. And Charles, I know you can answer this question. I know Matt can answer this question. I know a few of my friends in the Chicagoland area, no matter what the color or creed, they can answer this question. But how many times have you seen a man well-spoken, well-dressed, have goals, knows what he wants to do, why he wants to do it, and where he wants to do it, get turned away, laughed at, and walked on because he held true to his own standards? I'm sorry, did I go there with that one?
Sir, man, you went real quick. The way you talk to, this might have to end up being one of your 5-part, stories, man. I'm going to answer that real quick before you go. Number one, it's because you are who you value. If you value no substance, then you get what you pay for. If you look for a beta male who really pay for you, you get what you pay for. So instead of looking just for look, how about looking for character?
Thank you.
If he's studious, does he have any ingenuity? Can he make a job in a way out of no way? Is he going to be there for you when the chips are down? Is he going to be there when you're past your prime and you're not looking like you did when you were 20, 21 to 25? Is he going to be there when you're 55? Is he going to be there when all the bills need to be paid, something happens, and he's going to work his ass off to pay them?
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to love you the same way when you first met 20, 30 years later? Those are factors a lot of women, especially my wife, do not take into consideration.
Well, that's all for this Monday edition. I hope you enjoyed it, as I enjoy bringing it to you. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, same stations, and I'm so excited to have this show as well as my morning show syndicated on different stations across the country and across the world. So until tomorrow, as I always say, have a great day. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move, and always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they are not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. I am, and I hope you all are too. Until tomorrow's edition of the Daily BS, I'm out of here.